Hi, everyone. This is Kate from the Bookkeeping Side Hustle Group, and I am tickled today to get to interview Meagan Hernandez from the Tax Savvy Bookkeeper. And she and I have met in the Facebook group a while, and I'll let her introduce herself. But I mean, she's chimed in. She's got a course that she has already started offering, already has had students go through it, and I think would be a great fit for some of y'all. Before Meagan introduces herself, I do want to give a disclaimer that I always give, which is that I haven't taken Meagan's course, but my goal here is just to be a great conduit of information. And if you want to support the group, Meagan has given me an affiliate link, which I will share, and I would appreciate you purchasing it that way. But I kind of come at this from the position of I don't try to endorse things that I am not familiar with, but I know that there are products out there that are a great fit for some. So let's just get started. Meagan, tell us about yourself and your background.
Yes, well, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed being in your group and interacting with all of your group members. It's been a lot of fun. So,
cool.
So a little bit about me. My name is Meagan Hernandez. I am from Mississippi originally, and my background is accounting. I did go to school for accounting. I have an accounting degree, and I spent about 10 years in the industry, kind of in the private sector, more so, kind of going that route, doing some tax, some financial management, but for private companies, for franchises and some smaller companies, things like that. So that's where I spent my time, and I ended up starting my company last year. I started at the end of April last year, and I just wanted a way to stay home with my son. You know, it's the same story a lot of moms have, I'm sure. I had my son last January 2018, and I just could not bear to be away from him, but I loved accounting. I loved bookkeeping. I loved that stuff. So I still wanted to hold on to that. So I was able to start my own company from home, kind of took the advice of some people starting out as a virtual assistant, and kind of got a little bit of the background of how to do it, how to work virtually from that. And then I was able to take my previous knowledge and experience to put the tax, accounting, and bookkeeping back into it to start my business there. So I've been running, and I started out as a firm, started running my business as an accounting firm last year, and then I developed this training in January of 2019.
Okay, so just to get the timing clear, we're recording this in December of 2019. That's where we are. And so you started your practice in 2018 after your son was born? Okay, so you had like about a year under your belt before you realized, okay, I can now teach people to do what I've proven.
Right.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit more about what motivated you to create the course. I mean, you could have just kept your practice growing, and I'm sure you're still working on that some, but what about this pivot to creating the course?
Well, yeah, and actually, and you'll see, like, if you go to my sales page, I actually have, it's divided. It's the same course, but it's divided into one focus being entrepreneurs to learn how to do it themselves, one focus being for bookkeepers to learn to do it for others. That the reason is because it started out as a course for entrepreneurs. When I got out there in the marketplace and I was trying to find clients for my firm, I ran into a lot of freelancers, a lot of people just starting out in their business who didn't necessarily have the funds to hire on a bookkeeper, monthly, on a monthly basis, but they needed help desperately to get their finances in order, for growth and for tax purposes and everything. So I was like, well, I can, well, first of all, I wanted to help them, but also I realized I could monetize that and turn it into a training specifically to teach them how to do it. So I started doing that in January. I started teaching entrepreneurs how to run their own finances, how to take care of their own bookkeeping, preparing for tax time, everything like that. And as the months went on, I started getting some attention from other bookkeepers that wanted to make it in the online space, and as well as, potential bookkeepers that were interested in doing this. And I realized that my training for the entrepreneurs was very applicable for people wanting to learn bookkeeping to have as a service. And then I just added on to it to teach them how to build their own practice and make it, you know, their own thing, and how to find clients of their own and things like that.
Well, that leads great into my next question. So go ahead and sort of dive into what this course is about. You don't have to talk about the entrepreneur one, but this bookkeeper course that this audience would potentially take. This audience is people who have an interest in building a bookkeeping business.
Right.
What does your course provide that would help someone on that journey?
Yeah. So I kind of, from start to finish, I start out trying to teach you how to set up your own business in the first place. A lot of people start freelancing or start taking on clients, and they don't realize that that makes them a business. That turns them into a business owner, right? So I go through some of the steps of different options you have for business entities, how to get started, things like that, which helps not only you in your own business, but helps you guide your potential clients if they have not reached those steps as well. So we start out with that. And then I dive into an introduction of all the different accounting platforms that I work off of. That's where the 4 accounting platforms comes into play.
Yeah, dive into that a little bit, because I'm like mind blown about that. Because truthfully, I'll tell you, it's because I've been trying to help people learn how to do this too, and I recommend for people who are just starting to really just focus on one. And so I don't know if that's part of your advice as well, like you introduce 4, but then say, try to deep dive into one, or tell me about the 4, because I've interviewed several people and I don't know anyone else who teaches 4. So
okay. So the 4 that I teach on are QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Desktop, Xero, and Wave.
Okay.
Now, most of all of my clients are split. Honestly, it's split about 50-50 between QuickBooks Online and Wave.
Okay.
And, but I do have some clients on QuickBooks Desktop. The main reason I even teach on QuickBooks Desktop at all is to show you how you could still work with a client remotely if they're on QuickBooks Desktop, because a lot of times people think that that is, you know, that is a game changer, that they're not going to be able to help them. But there are so many different remote desktop options out there, or ways to remote into their system. Now, some people still go the old school route of saving backups and emailing the backups and trying to share stuff like that. But eventually it gets too big to share. So I try to show them, you know, this is the platform. This is the basic stuff that it does. Obviously, I don't do a deep dive into desktop. It is so robust. I don't do that. But I do show them enough to get started, and how they could work with a client still remotely if they're on that system. Okay. Same with Xero. I don't do a huge deep dive in Xero. I know I'd seen you mention that Xero is a platform that you are familiar with, I think.
Well, familiar with it. I only have clients in QuickBooks Online, but what I try to, I have a mission to let people know that it's QuickBooks Online is not the only thing that's out there, and that so I don't, I mean, Xero doesn't pay me. I don't get anything from them. I just want people to know that you don't have to just like go because that's the name that people have heard of. And a lot of people really do like Xero better. So anyway, so you do introduce Xero.
I do introduce Xero. And one thing I like to do is, obviously different industries will do better on different platforms. I'm sure you guide people that way too. I mean, like you said, it's not all QuickBooks all the way across the board. So obviously getting QuickBooks certified and things like that is helpful to you to know the platform better. But I don't like for people to think that's your only option, or that's the only way to go. Like, if you want to do bookkeeping and be this accounting professional in the field, you need to expand your mindset a little bit more, that there are other things out there, and you want to be able to guide your potential client or your client to the best platform for them. So that's why I teach a little on Xero as well, just some of the basic stuff. But the bulk of the course focuses pretty much 50-50 on QuickBooks Online and Wave. Okay. Like all of the bookkeeping tasks that I go through, and I teach you how to do like transaction coding and the bank reconciliations, invoicing, things like that. I go into Wave and I teach you, and then I go into QuickBooks and I teach you, kind of like right one after another. Okay. Yeah. So
interesting. So you teach the 4 softwares, and then how does the course go from there?
Yeah. So then after the 4 softwares, then we go into the bookkeeping stuff. Like I mentioned, the transaction coding, bank reconciliations, some of the specific tasks. And I call that just the basic bookkeeping framework. And then I move on to my advanced accounting section. And that's where we teach more so on concepts and more so thinking outside the box. So we go through cash flow management, why that's important for some businesses, and how sometimes it won't even come into play. You know, if a business does not struggle financially, then if you do their accounts payable, then it's just as simple as writing a check whenever you have the time. But if they have cash flow management issues, then it turns into a whole different game. Okay. So we go through that. We talk about budgeting. We talk about, actually setting up a budget for the client, how you can teach them to use that budget to do the financial planning and to do some of those next steps. Because I feel that even if they don't necessarily offer that as a service to their client, them having that knowledge will make them more valuable to their client, especially when their client reaches that level, because some of them aren't there yet, but they'll get there.
So I want to go back. You said you had a next section on advanced accounting concepts. Do you have a section on beginning accounting concepts like assets equals liabilities plus equity? Would someone who has never cracked a textbook or had a single accounting course or read even a Investopedia about it, would they know how to take your course? Or is it better for someone like you who already has an accounting background, who's just wanting to transition into being an entrepreneur in this field?
I do touch on that actually in the bookkeeping section.
Okay.
So I actually teach like doing manual journal entries and how you figure out how you're even going to do them, what goes into them. And so that's where I touch on that part. Yeah. So I guess I as far as how I named the sections, the basic bookkeeping does kind of cover accounting 101 type stuff too. And then the advanced accounting is more like those advanced concepts.
Do you find most of your students so far, I mean, I know that your course is new, but are most of your students so far coming to you with some sort of accounting background, or do you have like a hairstylist in there and a vet tech in there? Profile?
Well, and I have people in from both, not that specific background, but like one example is someone that came from financial aid background. So, she was already with the spreadsheets and already kind of with the math and with that, but she had never done anything bookkeeping or accounting related. Now, maybe her background helped her a little bit more in that area, but she's one of my best examples of someone who went from knowing absolutely nothing to, now she's killing it, getting her own clients in some of these more advanced areas as well, not just some of the basic bookkeeping, but like and the confidence that she's been able to get as well, that she can learn it, and that's part of it. I think with any of us and any of our courses and any of our stuff, if we get to the level where we know that we can learn something that maybe we don't already know, but we know that we are capable of continuing that education and continuing down that path to keep growing. So,
that's I have had accounting classes too. I mean, I wasn't an accountant before doing this, but I still have to I guess I don't get out textbooks anymore, but I get out the 2019 equivalent of like the Googling and like, what's that?
Yeah.
How would an equation work? I even draw my T-charts to see how stuff would flow. So you definitely have to keep learning. Okay, so you got us through the advanced accounting concepts of your course. Is that where the course stops, or what else is there? I don't want to cut you off about explaining the course.
Yeah, so I actually also include a tax section.
Okay.
And so I am. It's not. I don't think it's complicated. I think that I've been able to kind of break it down into a very understandable section. And the reason I say this is because I've actually been able to teach the entrepreneurs that aren't even interested in doing bookkeeping for anyone else.
Right.
I've been able to teach them these concepts for taxes for themselves. Okay. So that's why I feel that I've gotten it down to a level that's like understandable. It's easy to apply to their own personal situation, their personal numbers and things like that. So that's my favorite section of the whole thing.
Yeah, that's unique I would say that's pretty unique too. My bookkeeper business launch course had really truthfully learn about taxes. It was a whole separate course offering that we had to take called Tax Business Launch. And I didn't do that. But I would say that's a pretty valuable module that you offer. So yeah, anything more you want to say about that, or?
Well, I guess I'll tell you the reason that I added that in the first place. Because I do have a background in more like accounting concepts and tax and things like that. I didn't, and you know, that, and like I said, that goes back 10, 11 years now that I started doing accounting. I didn't actually start doing bookkeeping till probably about 5 years ago. Okay. So I noticed right away when I was doing the bookkeeping that I was bringing in that knowledge, and that was what was helping me keep a better set of books for, well, at the time, my employer. But then when I started my own practice and bookkeeping became the main thing that I did, I noticed that it was almost vital that I had that knowledge. And I'm just talking about some of the things as simple as, you know, what tax deductible expenses are included, like what can a business count, but also how do they rank? Like different tax deductible expenses have a different weight as far as how deductible they are. And that's something that a lot of business owners, so potential clients that people are going to work with, and maybe bookkeepers in general, don't realize that like advertising expenses and office supplies expenses, they have a different weight. So that means that advertising has a higher weight. That means that it is going to get them a better tax situation. They're going to have less tax liability if, you know, if more the bulk of the items are in the advertising category. The example that I like to use for people is business cards. So if you're a bookkeeper and you see a transaction come through for business cards, and you may think, well, sounds like it might be an office supply, but it could kind of be an advertising expense. And they may not realize that it makes a big difference which of those categories they put it in. But if they put it in advertising expenses, it's actually deductible closer to 80% of cost. Whereas they put it in office supplies, it would be closer down to 60. So just simple things like that. But we go through a lot of examples of like what is counted in which category, which ones are higher weighted. And that's where you can start to use, I like to call it tax strategy, to kind of get your client a better tax situation.
So this course, to be clear, it's not going to teach someone how to launch into a tax practice. It's just giving you some great, more robust knowledge to make you a better bookkeeper. Am I interpreting that correctly? Okay, I want to make sure everything's clear. So this is not the course to buy if you're wanting to become a hardcore tax preparer where you grind through April and then do business taxes the rest of the year. This is not the course for that.
Exactly. No, cool. No, okay. It's not.
Awesome. Well, anything else about the course? Do you do marketing? Do you help people who are scared? Like any like, you know, networking tips or?
Yes. So
first
one
client,
of the things,
onboarding, stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah. And I share a lot of documents, a lot of my own documents that I've created, my onboarding questionnaire. I have a contract that I have had vetted by an attorney that was actually a client of mine. So it was in her best interest to make sure that it was, you know, very well laid out. So I share that. I share my proposal template. I share a ton of different documents. We have a home office tracker as kind of like a bonus. So there's a whole bunch of PDFs and downloadables in there. But what I want, for the marketing aspect, I have a whole module at the end that goes through like, how do you get out there? How do you put yourself out there to get clients? Like, what are some of the strategies that I've used? Because I will brag for just a second that from January to now, my firm has grown to over 50 clients. Wow. And I have found 95% of them in Facebook groups. So I've learned a really good strategy of how to stand out online and how to make myself seen in this, you know, this ocean of bookkeepers and financial professionals. I've been able to kind of figure out some of those tricks. So I do teach that, but as well, I have gone to in-person networking events, and I have done the in-person route too. I know a lot of people like to have that be their primary focus. So I do go through some tricks and some advice there too.
Are you teaching, are you using Facebook ads, or are you using just being valuable in, like, that's all free client acquisition?
It's all been free. Yeah. Well, and now I've gotten to the point where I get referrals and things like that. And I do talk about that too. When you get to the point where you've made yourself seen, and that's something where, you know, I worked with a business coach a while back, and it's an example she likes to use for some of her audience, that I go into a group with a little bit of selfish motivation too. You know, I want to be seen, but I want to be helpful as well. So it's a mix of both. You want to go in and you want to help other people without expecting anything in return. But what that actually does is it makes you be seen as someone who is helpful and doesn't expect anything in return. So it's kind of, it plays off of each other. And I use a lot of examples and a lot of, I have some challenges in there, and I, you know, tell you to go out and try different things that I've done and I've found to be successful. So yeah, I like to think that I've helped a lot of people in that area too. And I know some of my bookkeepers that have only been in my course for probably, I think the one girl I'm thinking about has only been in the course for about a month and a half, but she dove in and she went, you know, straight through all the modules, and she got to that section, and she's already found a client using some of those techniques that I've suggested. And she was probably my quickest one to dive in and get everything done. So I'm proud of that one.
Well, besides her, tell us who else is successful in your course, and then also can you share who is maybe not as successful for your, you know, who's not your avatar, who's not the person that really would thrive in your course, but might be better to go to a different course. Who's great and who's maybe not your ideal client.
Well, from what I've seen from people that have joined my course, the ones that are very motivated and really want to do the work and dive in, and, you know, they do at least a couple of lessons a week, and they are following the challenges. I offer free group coaching with my course. We have one group coaching call a month. The ones that attend those calls ask questions, the ones that post questions in our private group, those are the ones that are seeing results more so. Because I'll be honest, I have had some people join that watched the intro video and they haven't watched another video yet. And so I do try to think of ways to keep them motivated and bring them back in. But I know that happens, you know, that happens out there. So the ones that are seeing results are the ones that are actually diving in and doing the work. Now, as far as backgrounds, I have all different kinds of backgrounds. I will say a lot of the people in my course have had an interest in bookkeeping for a while. They just didn't know where to start or what route to take. Okay. So those are the ones I think that are the most motivated when they dive in, because they've been searching, they've been raring to go, they just didn't know the right steps. So as soon as they join, they hit the ground running, and they have done very, very well. And they keep good communication with me, and you know, and I like to think that I'm very present in the group, and that I answer questions and that I offer advice and things like that. So those people have done very well. I will say it's something that I've noticed. I have had people join from other countries, and what I've told them when they've asked, you know, how can they use this knowledge to help people outside of the US, I say that you can definitely use the concepts and you can use the groundwork, but the tax section, I have no idea how the taxes work in different countries, and as well as like business setup. I can't speak to that as well. So if your goal is, no matter where you live, if your goal is to help people in the United States with their bookkeeping needs, then this course can definitely help you. But if you live in another country and you want to serve people in another country, this might not be the best course for you. So
I like the honesty. Can you share a favorite student success story?
Yes. So I mentioned just briefly earlier, but I had one student that it's been about a month and a half now, but she actually finished the course earlier than that. She dove in and she had gotten through module 5 in just like a week. Like she was super motivated to get in there and do it. And she was one of the ones that she didn't have a whole lot of previous experience, but she got a little taste of it helping a friend doing a little bit of bookkeeping. So she knew that she fell in love with it. She knew that that's what she wanted to do. She just didn't know where to turn. So when she started the course, she dove in, she went straight through the modules. She reached out, in the group, and she got on every single coaching call. And she got on several potential calls, but sometimes it's a numbers game. So it's always good to talk to more and more potential clients. So she got that first client, and she is just soaring through. I see her in different Facebook groups that I'm in. She is always making herself seen by me. And, I'm friends with a lot of people, and I see a lot of people out there, and I don't particularly follow her, but I see things that she posts, and she's just doing amazing. And it's been such a transformation getting that confidence to put herself out there and be seen. And she's getting referrals already from people that she's helped. And so she's building her practice, and it's really exciting to watch.
Wow. How much does your course cost?
It is $347 until 11:59 p.m. on Thursday.
Okay. Wow. I got to make sure I get this video uploaded quickly then. And what happens on Thursday?
So I am raising the price because I have added some additional content that I didn't plan on originally. And some of it is, it's pretty robust. So I definitely think that my course is at a different price point at this point, but I definitely wanted to give everybody in this group an opportunity to join at my original price point. I've really enjoyed meeting a lot of the people in your Facebook group and connecting and collaborating. People ask great questions in there, and I can tell that people are just wanting to, serve clients in the best way and get out there. So I wanted to give people a chance at the lower price point before I raise it. But that is why I'm raising it, because I've been able to add a lot more stuff to it.
Okay. How can people find out more information about you? Obviously, folks, that you're listening to this, if you do end up purchasing, I'd love for you can message me or just search the Facebook group, and I'll put her affiliate link for the actual purchase. But are you anywhere else online if people want to just see you in action more? Are you a YouTuber?
Yeah.
Are you a blogger? Like, can they find out more about you and your background before purchasing anywhere else? Okay.
Well, I have a Facebook group. It's called Online Entrepreneur Connection.
Okay.
And it actually has a mix of both audiences. So there's some potential clients in there as well. But I'd give like business finance tips, tax tips. I would welcome anybody to join that group if you're interested in it. I do lives in there as well. I have, my Facebook business page has some reviews and testimonials. And I have another website that has some reviews and testimonials as well. If you wanted to check that out, I can provide you all the links to those things.
Sure. I'm trying to figure out how we'll get them on here. How about people tag you in the Facebook group if they are wanting those extra websites? So everyone, even if you're listening to this later, Meagan is in the Bookkeeping Side Hustle Facebook group, so that might be the best way. We had some technical difficulties getting this as a Facebook Live, so it's going to be hard to drop links, and I don't want us to slow down by getting this video uploaded. So chime in and ask for those locations if you want to just keep learning more about Meagan before you purchase, which I understand. Yeah, so you've got my head spinning about this tax situation because I don't know anything about taxes really. We do our own taxes, but I'm hoping to volunteer as a volunteer tax preparer this year because I know I need to get my head more in the tax game. Because I don't know that I was even following everything you were saying about all this tax strategy and different deductibility and stuff like that. So I am thinking, wow, I have a big gap I need to fill.
Yeah.
So
it's a great selling point when you're talking to potentials too, to tell them that you have that tax strategy knowledge. And, once you get some statistics and some averages of how much money you've been able to save people just by doing their bookkeeping with that in mind, it's good. Good stuff.
Okay. I don't have any more questions, and we're not live, so I can't get any from the audience, but I have enjoyed talking with you. Thank you for being flexible with the technical difficulties, and it sounds like you've really got a great program and you're growing. Oh, I have one more question. Once you join, you're in for life? You get access to your group and all the new stuff you're going to be adding? No.
Yes.
Don't have
Now,
pay
to
for
be
the
honest
extras.
with you, I don't know that I'll offer that forever, you know,
Okay.
but since I'm still in the first year of building everything, I have the free group coaching that goes with it. I have the membership site that I will continuously add as I learn things, you know, or as I encounter things. The cash flow management, that was something I added after the fact because I
Okay.
had a client that had the issue with it. So I thought, you know, this is something good to share. Yes, so you have lifetime access to all of those things, and you would be grandfathered into the monthly group coaching if you join now. Probably starting in 2020, I will offer that as an add-on for anybody that joins later, but anybody that joins before the end of this year will be grandfathered into that for the life of the course. Yeah.
Well, I think I'm going to let you go. I've asked a lot of questions.
Okay.
I really appreciate talking with you, and thank you. I wish you luck as you build your business, and please keep
Thank
chiming in our group
you.
and offering your advice and just helping folks who are on their way. That's the goal. So
yes, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Okay, bye.
Bye.